YouTube, what is up? So, this video that you're about to watch is absolutely amazing, going over stress, cortisol, mental health, how it affects everything with your health, and that it truly is the most important part and the biggest issue if you can't get it under control. But I initially filmed this video that you're about to watch for my clients, right? So, it's actually for my clients, but I thought the information is great. I might as well post it for some free value for all of you on YouTube. So, that's exactly what I'm doing. Again, I initially created this video because every single week, my clients and I on Monday at 6 p.m. MST, we have a group call. So all of my clients and I, we jump on a call and I present a specific topic in health and fitness, high performance, longevity, so that they can learn week after week about health and fitness while making incredible progress, right? So that by the time they're done working with me, they've obviously gained this insane amount of knowledge and made this incredible progress. They don't need me anymore. So that's my main goal. Every week we have a group call, but this week specifically, everyone was busy. I was very busy with classes, school, homework, soccer practice, and then obviously business and taking care of my own health. And then all of my clients texted me yesterday and said, Ben, I'm too busy, traffic, family responsibilities, work is too busy. I'm not going to be able to jump on the group call tonight. And so I said, okay, we're not going to have group call this week. I'll see you next week. For this week, I'm going to film the video and film the presentation, and then I'll send the video in the group chat, and then so you guys can all watch it for this week's group call. So I filmed that video, and then again, I said I might as well post this up on YouTube for some free value. So that's what we're doing today. I hope you enjoy it. This is, like I said, very, very important when it comes to making progress with your health. It doesn't matter the calorie deficit, the workout program, supplements, doesn't matter. It's meaningless when chronically high cortisol is present. So enjoy this video, and yeah, I'll see you over there.
Legacy family, my people. So, obviously, we have all been very, very busy this week. Hence, I'm recording this group call this week as a video so that you can all watch it on your own time throughout this week rather than having our regular scheduled call on Monday night. Again, because we're so busy. So, hence being so busy, so stressful, living this high-paced lifestyle for us all while trying to take the best care of our health and optimize our health internally. The topic for this week is I think is perfect, right? It's all about stress, cortisol, and mental health. We can have the perfect calorie deficit, the perfect meal plan, the perfect workout program, right? Try to protect our sleep. We cannot try to do all of these things for our health. But if cortisol is always present, if we're always stressed, if we can never take care of our mental health while trying to optimize our physical health, none of it is going to work. It all starts with that mental health and how you manage your stress and cortisol levels. So that's exactly what the topic is this week. Hopefully you have enough time to obviously watch this video, but if you're seeing it right now, you do. And so without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So again, stress, cortisol, and mental health. How to stay sharp, calm, and in control under the weight of a high performance life. And why the right amount of stress at the right time is what makes elite output possible. So, of course, mental clarity, we're going to talk a little bit about that central nervous system as always, and then overall recovery. Section one, baby. Stress is stress. Your body cannot tell the difference between a real threat and just a long day at work, right? And so let's explain this a little bit further. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller if I can here. There we go. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference, right? A bear chasing you while you're out on a hike and a brutal back-to-back day meeting, that just triggers the same exact biological response. Same cortisol, same adrenaline, same fight or flight cascade that happens throughout your body, right? Your body has no framework for telling the difference, differentiating the two between a real physical threat and just a stacked calendar, a busy day at work. Stress is stress. But stress is not the enemy, right? Of course, like I said, stress is stress. It's very easy to get over stress, to have chronically high cortisol levels because your body doesn't know the difference between all of these internal and external stimuluses on your body. Stress is stress, but stress is not the enemy. It's all about timing. You actually want stress, right? You want cortisol. Cortisol is important at the right moments. A real threat getting attacked by a bear out on a hike, it calls for a fight or flight response so that you can actually survive and think very fit quickly, right? Do I need to run away? Do I need to, I mean, I was going to say, do I need to climb this tree? But that bear is just going to climb the tree faster than you. But you know what I mean. You're going to get attacked by a bear. You want that cortisol rush throughout your body so that you can actually survive, so that you can make the right fast decisions under pressure in a split second, right? A high stakes presentation calls for you to be sharp and on and wired, back to back meetings for a workday. You want that cortisol rush. You want to be wired on. You want to be ready to perform mentally and physically. Again, same thing with a workout, right? It's going to call for that same stress response to push elite output so that you can perform at your best mentally and physically. This is what cortisol does for us. Stress is important, again, but it's all about the timing. So the goal was never zero stress, to completely eliminate stress, right? It's stress in the right dosage, at the right time, for the right reason, right? So again, a real threat, fight or flight to survive and decide fast, high stake moments, being wired on, ready for a presentation or a big decision for your business, for work, whatever it may be, or just a training session. Enough stress response to drive real output and real adaptation so you can grow, so you can improve your health and physique. Everything. Stress is not the enemy. In these situations, stress is good and is exactly the response that we want. You don't want low stress all the time. You want the right stress at the right time. So let's talk about the cortisol rhythm now. We've gone over stress and cortisol so many times on group calls and just talking about it in the group chat all together in Legacy Fitness Coaching, right? All of you guys know that. But I'm going over it again because of how important it is, right? Talking about some different things today, but still at the end of the day, we want to manage our stress and we want to optimize our health. And part of that is not just a calorie deficit, like I said, just a workout program. A lot of it comes from how you manage your stress and your chronic cortisol levels potentially, right? And so the biggest piece of that is your cortisol rhythm. Cortisol should have a rhythm. It should be predictable, right? And so a healthy pattern is high cortisol levels in the morning. Sorry about this graph. It looks like it got a bit discombobulated, but it should be a clean line starting at about here, coming down, a little bit of a spike here, and then continuing with that downward trend. But again, a healthy pattern is high in the morning to help you wake up and get moving. Your cortisol should be high in the morning. That's what helps you feel awake, get up in the morning, right? When you have chronically high cortisol levels, this cortisol rhythm, this cortisol graph is completely off. Chronically high cortisol levels means that it's actually the opposite. You're going to wake up in the morning and feel exhausted. You're going to feel like shit because your cortisol rhythm is off and your cortisol starts at a low point in the beginning of the day when it should be at a high point. And then throughout the day with the chronically high cortisol levels, it starts very low in the morning. You feel fatigued. You drink a ton of caffeine, right? A ton of coffee because you feel like shit. You need to work. You need to perform today, right? So you overcompensate with caffeine. And then this starts the upward trend throughout the day, leading to a higher point at night when you're trying to go to sleep. And again, chronically high cortisol levels ruins this rhythm completely. So a healthy cortisol rhythm is right here. High in the morning, then gradually trending downward across the day, bottoming out at night when melatonin is actually being released and is the opposite of this. So a healthy cortisol rhythm is high in the morning, gradually downtrend throughout the day. A melatonin rhythm is low in the morning. Obviously, melatonin helps you feel tired. You don't want to feel tired in the morning, so it's going to be low. And then as the sun goes down, it's going to gradually increase. So this is this is melatonin, this is cortisol. They're opposite trends, obviously very healthy trends, and this is exactly what it should look like. The only spikes that belong in the curve of a healthy cortisol rhythm are healthy ones, right? A workout, that's going to cause a quick spike in cortisol because you need to perform. A hard training session, a real moment of high stakes. So again, the rhythm should be a gradual downtrend throughout the rest of the day, but during that downtrend, there will be some spikes up and then right back down because you need to perform. You need that stress. You need that on wired response. And then when you don't need it anymore, it should come right back down. This is the healthy cortisol rhythm. So for the rest of the day, right? Like I said, when you need the stress, it's going to spike. But then the rest of the day, every other moment, you want to be calm. You want that stress to drop right back down. Outside of a workout or a genuine high stakes moment, you want low stress and low cortisol. This matters most around meals Eating in a stressed, sympathetic state pulls blood flow and resources away from your stomach, from your gut, from digestion. So, calm is when your body actually digests, repairs, and recovers. So, again, every moment throughout the day, when you don't need your cortisol, when you don't need your stress to be high with that response, it should be low, especially before meals and right after eating meals, right? So, at the table, calm mode. Digestion runs on a parasympathetic system. Calm, rest, and digest. Stress hormones circulating during a meal directly compete with digestion, repair, and recovery. You don't want to be eating your food in a high stress state, rushing your food with distractions. That just puts you already in a stress state. So you want to be no distractions. You want to be ideally outside in the sun in a calm state when you're eating your food and after. And talking a little bit more about that, digestion and absorption. You can't absorb what you can't digest. It's hard to digest your food when you're in a stress state. Hence, you're not absorbing your nutrients. So, digestion runs on a parasympathetic system. Like I said, that rest and digest mode. Being wired at the table sends blood flow and energy toward your muscles, right? And alertness instead of blood flow going to your gut, helping with enzymes, cutting stomach acid and enzyme output, and slowing the whole process down. You can eat a perfect meal. This is why so many men over 30 are trying to remove that belly fat, are trying to improve their health. So they stop eating junk food, fast food, they stop drinking soda, they start eating the best high quality meals, great high quality foods, right? And they're eating the right diet, but they're not eating it in the right state, still living a high stress lifestyle, still being in a constant high cortisol state. So it doesn't matter the grass fed, locally sourced, high quality ground beef, honey, rice, whatever you're eating, it doesn't matter how high quality of food it is if you're not eating it in the right state, sympathetic or parasympathetic. You want to be in that parasympathetic rest and digest mode when you eat. Again, this is why so many people are eating the right meals in a calorie deficit, but they're not getting results because of the stress, the chronic cortisol they're under. So again, you can eat a perfect meal and still fail to absorb it if you're stressed while eating it, right? Wired at the table in a constant sympathetic state, blood flow gets diverted from the gut, stomach acid and enzyme get suppressed, and nutrients just pass through almost unabsorbed. Calm at the table, the exact opposite, blood flow gets directed to the gut. Normal acid and enzyme production, and then nutrients actually broken down like they're supposed to be and fully absorbed. So that's all about stress, how it relates to digestion, your food intake, everything. Now let's get on to section two, when stress never turns off. Chronically high cortisol is one of the most damaging, most overlooked forces working against your health. Cortisol is actually breaking you down, right? High cortisol and chronic cortisol levels breaks muscle tissue down. The body burns muscle tissue for energy under sustained cortisol load. When you're chronically high stress and chronic cortisol levels are high, stores this forces your body to store visceral fat, right? Fat gets stored in the stomach area as a survival mechanism, protecting your internal organs. If you're constantly in that cortisol state, your body doesn't know if it's a real threat or if it's just after a long workday. Stress is stress. Chronically high stress, your body thinks, I'm under attack. I need to protect myself. So it's going to store fat, protection, cushion around your internal organs for survival. Your body's just doing what it's supposed to do, but you're not doing the daily inputs in order to calm it down and get it out of that survival mechanism state. Again, it disrupts digestion and clouds decision making. Mental clarity, focus, sharp decisions all take the hit with chronically high cortisol levels. Again, no calorie deficit, no workout program, no supplement stack will ever outwork chronically elevated cortisol. If this is present during your health and fitness journey, this will take over. All of your inputs are almost meaningless because this cortisol is present. Building capacity here, right? So kind of talking about the opposite and how to get rid of this cortisol and how to actually train your body to handle high stress. You can train your stress tolerance. This is part of what strength training actually does. You apply a controlled stress load to the central nervous system and of course to the intended muscle, right? And the body is forced to adapt to that stress right? By building a higher tolerance for it. Each cycle of applied stress and full recovery raises the ceiling for what your system can actually handle. This is the bread and butter of progressive overload. You can only do 5 pounds of a bicep curl, right? That's all your body can handle. Then the next week you bump it up to 7.5, right? And then you get the same amount of reps. A couple weeks later, you jump up to the 10-pound dumbbell because you're getting stronger, because your body's getting used to that stimulus, to that stress and controlled stress load. So it adapts to it. It builds the tolerance. It says, I can handle that 10-pounder. And then a couple weeks later, you surprise it again with the 12.5 dumbbell, right? And then you surprise it yet again and again and again. You're training your body not just to grow muscle mass, but to handle more stress. This is exactly why I have all my clients, high performers, training in the gym, not just for the physique. That's a byproduct, right? But to train for higher stress tolerance. Again, apply stress, you get the full recovery to cause adaptation, then you build the higher capacity response. So that is about training in the gym in terms of stress response. Now I want to talk about cardio zones. So how cardio plays a role in all of this and how it's actually such an important role. So not all stress is equal. We're talking about zone 2 cardio and zone 4 and zone 5 cardio. Zone 2 cardio, fat oxidation, no added central nervous system stress, as you guys all know, and what I've talked to you about so many times in the past about zone 2 cardio. Hence why I have a lot of you on the cardio enhancement protocol, which is me actually going in and applying these cardio zones specifically throughout your week with your workouts in the gym and with your work week with family responsibilities. I go into your schedule and I structure this cardio all out for you and implement these specific zones so that we can get the best results, right? Again, not just with the physique, that's the byproduct, as you all know, but how we train is how we're going to perform. Cardio plays the biggest role in that. Zone 2 causes fat oxidation, fat burning with no central nervous system added stress onto it. And so zone 2 builds aerobic base and burns calories through fat oxidation without piling more stress onto an already loaded nervous system. This is your everyday low stress cardio, safe to do often. George, if you're watching this and you have time to watch it, right? You know that you had a zone 4 scheduled yesterday, right? And Juan as well, right? You guys both had high intensity cardios scheduled for yesterday, but you had such a busy day on Sunday. You had such a busy day yesterday on Monday. And so there's no point to add more stress onto your body with a zone 4 session. So I told both of you, let's pull back and just do a zone 2 today. We can get to the zone 2 in a couple of days when your body's fully recovered and can handle it. So again, the zone 2, the perfect way to get exercise, to burn calories, to burn fat without adding more stress. Zone 2 is huge and should be most of the cardio of what you're doing every day, as you all know. Then the higher intensity cardios, right? The zone 4s and the zone 5s. So central nervous system stress, but only if your body is fully recovered and ready to handle it. I've talked about that many times, but zone 4s and zone 5s train the central nervous system to be able to handle higher stress loads, right? Only appropriate when the body is fully recovered and ready to absorb it. Not a daily habit, a very targeted tool. Structured out, I implement it very strategically when your body can handle it and make sure that it's spread apart reasonably and also implemented properly with your workout structure. Again, it all plays into it. That's why I worry about it. You guys don't have to worry about it. I structure everything out with your cardio, workouts, meals, everything. You just got to follow the plan. And I love that, right? It's the most satisfying part for me. So again, this is why I also implement the zones of cardio because of just how much they help with stress, with your central nervous system, and the results you get over time. This is going to be another topic soon, right? Audio regulation. So knowing when you should actually do the zone 4 versus the zone or the zone 2 versus the zone 4, zone 5, right? Auto regulation, not just following the plan that I give you, right? But also knowing that, okay, I didn't have the best sleep last night. Today is a very high stress day with work. I'm not going to do that scheduled zone 4, zone 5 because it's just going to add stress, like I said, right? Eventually, when you're not working with me, I want you to know what training you need to do to meet your demands, auto regulation, not just following a plan that you give Monday through Sunday, no matter what, that's what you do. It's about having a flexible structure, having a plan of what you're going to do, but then training depending on what your body is ready to handle. Auto regulation, it's the key here. You got to let your HRV, resting heart rate, and sleep data decide when your body is ready for a zone 4, zone 5 session. So this again is a whole nother topic that we need to talk about: auto regulation, listening to your performance metrics that we track every single week. And based off of those, based off of what your body is ready for, we train with that. Manual stress management, pretty much getting to the challenge of this week, right? You can manually lower your cortisol levels. Beyond training and daily rhythm, you have direct manual levers to pull your nervous system out of that sympathetic drive and into parasympathetic recovery on demand, again, manually. So that first one, of course, is breathing techniques. We've done this before. We're doing it again, baby. Slow, controlled breathing directly activates the parasympathetic system. It tells your brain, it tells your body, oh, we're not under threat. I thought we were, but we're okay because we're breathing, because we're telling our body we can calm down. And then, of course, meditation as well. So, kind of pairing these two together. Even a few seconds, a few minutes, sorry, a few focused minutes measurably drops circulating cortisol. So, the best windows to use them: right before you eat meals and right before bed, right when you actually really do need to be in a calm parasympathetic state. And now the recap, stress, cortisol, and mental health, right? Stress is stress. Again, your body can't tell the difference between a bear from a busy Tuesday. Good stress at the right time drives performance. The goal isn't zero stress. We want it, but only at the right times. Cortisol should rhythm high to low across the day, calm around meals. Being wired at the table blocks digestion. Calm is how nutrients get absorbed. Chronic cortisol breaks down muscle tissue, stores visceral fat, clouds your mind. These are the symptoms of what every high performer over 35 is feeling, and they don't attribute it to stress levels. They attribute it to other things that never get them the results. And then lastly, training your central nervous system to handle more stress and auto-regulate recovery. Wow, a lot to cover. Hopefully everything made sense. If you have any questions, of course, let me know in the group chat or just text me personally, right? But this week's challenge, very simple. Again, I know a lot of people have texted me yesterday, this week, the beginning of the week on Monday, that they've been busy. Traffic, work, family responsibilities, everything. Hence why I did the stress cortisol topic this week. But the challenge is also going to help us all. This week's challenge: at least 5 minutes of breathing or meditation, and or, right, I'm going to do both at the same time right before lunch. Midday, I think that's going to be really important, right? Midday is where we kind of seem to try and boost our energy levels with even more caffeine, resulting in worse sleep later on, as we know. We've talked about that before. And so again, I think a session of meditation and breath work right in the middle of the day is really going to help us, especially with our cortisol rhythm. And then again, right before bed. Most of us are already doing this one, but we're just fortifying that routine, fortifying that daily habit. This week's challenge, very simple. Like always, get done or complete the challenge every single day, and then let us know by the end of the day or the next morning how you felt, how this challenge is going for you this week. And we all keep each other accountable. But like always, I always look forward to these group calls and just going over specific topics, teaching every single one of you while you are making your progress working with me, right? I'm not just telling you exactly what to do and you're following it. We're doing that, of course, but in addition, I'm teaching you why it's important, why we're doing this, when we're doing it, right? Not throwing everything at you all at once so that you can actually digest all of the information that I'm giving you. And so that by the time our work ends in legacy fitness coaching, you can actually move on and you know exactly what to do on your own. That's my point with all of you, as I've mentioned many times in the past. And so, yeah, like I said, hopefully everything made sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to everyone's participation of this week's challenge. And yeah, I'll see you all in the group call next week.